Bhakta Vrinda Jaya 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 Nityananda Jaya 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 Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya 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 Gaura Um, I had my plan, but maybe Krishna has a different plan. I was, um, I, I didn't want to chant a particular verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita or anywhere else. Rather, I was considering the song Paramakarna, and I was considering the song Paramakarna, but since we have very little time, I'm you can't have the mic pointing anywhere near the speaker. Hello. So the song Paramakarna speaks very beautifully about Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga. And so I thought I would start from there and go forward from there. So the beginning of Paramakarna is Paramakarna Bahudvijana Nitai Gaurachandra Saba Avatar Shadashadomani Kevala Ananda Kanda. Lord Nitai and Lord Gaurachandra are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduced a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shuridha Vishwashakari Vishaya Chariya Serasi Majil Mukti Bhava Hari Hari. My dear brothers and sisters, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If you want to be Krishna conscious, by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification, become absorbed in worshiping Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and simply chant Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, without any material motive. Always a caveat. Dukkha ori bhai trivuvanenai emana doyla data. Pashupaki jure pasana vigare shuni jana gunagata. My dear brothers and sisters, just try to examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. Samsare majia rahila padia se padi nahila asha. Apana karana bunjaye samana kahe lochanadas. But I, Lochanadas, regret that I am entrapped by sense gratification. I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And therefore, Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted to this movement. Now, there's a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, Paramakorana Kahadvijana. This song by Lochan Das Thakur, a great devotee and acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, he is declaring that these Pahudvi, these two, who are two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, One is Lord Nitai, Nityananda, and the other is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he says that these two lords are very merciful. Paramakarana. They are the essence of all incarnations. And the specific significance of these incarnations is they prosecute their ways of self-realization in a way that is simply joyful. Ananda Kanda. They introduce chanting and dancing. No other incarnation. There are many incarnations, just like Ram and even Krishna. He taught Bhagavad Gita. That requires knowledge, understanding. But here, Lord Chaitanya Nityananda introduced some process which is simply joyful. Simply chant and dance. Therefore, he requests everyone, my dear brothers and sisters, I request you, you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. Don't think that this chanting and dancing will not lead you to the desired goal. It will, because there is assurance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that you will get all perfection by this process. Therefore, Loshan Das Thakur says that you must have firm faith and conviction. It will act. Bhaja Bhaja Bhai, Chaitanya Nitai, Suridha. Suridha means firm, Vishvasa, Kori, with faith and conviction. But what is the process? The process is Vishaya Charya, Serase Majaya. If you want to be Krishna consciousness under that process, then you have to give up your engagement in sense gratification. That is the only restriction. You cannot do that. Then it will be very nice. So I would like to consider this mood of Lord Nityananda. You know, sometimes we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the sun, right, risen like the sun and the moon. And Lord Nityananda is like the moon. Well, the moon always rises when it's dark, right? It always rises when it's dark. So Lord Nityananda, he was looking for those persons who were in the darkness of ignorance and came to us to give us the light of Krishna consciousness in a very, very simple way. And Prabhupada points it out over and over again. Actually, this song, Prabhupada came to Atlanta Temple in 1974, I believe, or 5. And he gave the shortest lecture that he ever gave. It was only 4 minutes long because he started to cry. He had gone to many different temples, and some in Caracas, Venezuela, and then he went to Miami, and then he came to Atlanta. And when he came to Atlanta and he saw Gaurnitai, in every temple he saw Gaurnitai, Gaurnitai, Gaurnitai. And he gave us this song. He started crying because he saw the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How amazing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, that he appeared in all these places who had previously had no knowledge whatsoever of Krishna, no knowledge whatsoever of the chanting of the holy name, no knowledge whatsoever even of the desire for self-realization. And I should say myself, I'm part of this crew of misfits that Srila Prabhupada kindly took the time to come and find us. He went where we were, right? He went where we were. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told Srila Prabhupada, you preach in the English-speaking world. But he didn't tell him to go to New York City. He just told him, go where they speak English. Probably could have gone to Delhi, but or at least he could have gone England. But he opted to go to New York, the most degraded place. And then he went to Haight-Ashbury, which was even more degraded because everybody was taking intoxication, engaged in illicit sex, so many things. The people that Lochan Das Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, even Lord Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda, they were very fallen. Nityananda chose Jagai and Madhai. We'll talk about that later. They were very fallen. But those people knew They knew who Krishna was. They knew how to behave themselves. They had some idea of Bhagavad Gita, some idea of Dharma, some idea of the purpose of human life. They may not have followed, but at least they knew somewhere. If I asked you here, how many of you heard of some sort of spiritual life before you came to ISKCON? Raise your hand if you knew who Krishna was before you came to ISKCON. Only 2 people? 3, 4. I see 4 hands. 5. Okay, only 5 of you knew who Krishna was before you came to ISKCON. I find that hard to believe. But how many of you did anything about it before you came to Krishna? Raise your hand. Before you came to Prabhupada's ISKCON, how many of you did anything about it? You knew about it, but did you do anything about it? Now no hands are up. This is the mercy of Lord Nityananda. This is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which Srila Prabhupada imbibed in his practice of Krishna consciousness. So without the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, the process of self-realization was very, very difficult. In previous ages, it was so complicated, right? We see even in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is talking to Arjuna, that's basically before the beginning of Kali Yuga, just at the end of the previous Yuga, Lord Krishna is just about to leave the planet. And still they had so many rules and regulations and so many things that had to be done. But there were great sages wandering the earth. No one had to sit down and speak to people who were breaking all 4 of the regulative principles and didn't have any idea what to do with themselves. But Lord Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda, seeing the condition of the people in the age of Kali, they came together, Krishna and Balaram, to help us to make it the process of self-realization as easily as possible for us, because there's so much bad competition. Even driving down here in Kochi, I see a lot of bad competition, right? There's drinking and meat eating and so many nonsense things. It's worse in the West. But Lord Chaitanya came, Lord Nityananda came, and they gave this mercy to the most fallen. Now, we shouldn't take for granted who these people are, because Lord Nityananda, we know Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. But we shouldn't think that Lord Nityananda is just a merciful soul. Just like when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam begins by giving us some deep understanding, right? We get some understanding in the first canto, second canto, third canto, that all the creation and how Brahma, came out of the lotus flower and the complications of the creation of the universe. And then we understand a little bit more who this Krishna is, that from the pores of his body, so many different expansions are coming, and he's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He's able to control all the different situations. He arranged everything. He showed his universal form twice, right? Once in the Sabha of the Pandavas, the Kauravas, and once to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So here also, we need to understand who Lord Nityananda is, that he's the first expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead itself. From him comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From his navel, Lord Brahma sat on top. And then in all the universes, he came. He's Paramatma who sits in everyone's heart. He's Krishna's loving friend in many, many, many different lifetimes. He's the source of all Krishna's energy, and he's servant of Krishna. He's a servant of Krishna, intimate servant of Krishna. He served Krishna in so many different ways. And in the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this wonderful incarnation of Krishna that melds, puts together the loving devotion of Srimati Radharani and the relationship with her and the Supreme Lord Krishna, to taste that nectar of Radharani's love for him, Lord Chaitanya appears. But he also comes to give that love to us. And he comes to give it in a very simple way. He comes to give it to us in something as sweet as the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Sometimes we have some trouble with austerity. Even Ekadasi may be a little bit challenging for some people to fast on that day, or to maybe giving up garlic and onions is a bit difficult for some people. Giving up tea, oh boy, that's difficult. So we have austerities that we have to perform. And Prabhupada, he also gave us those 4 austerities. But first, he gave us the chanting of the holy name. And by chanting the holy name, then we get a taste. And when we get a taste, it's easier to take up austerity because we have something higher to strive for, some goal to achieve. And it appears to be possible. Otherwise, it seems too hard, right? Too hard. We work so hard. I have been traveling now for 2 months, practically in a different place every other day. And I keep hearing the same thing. It's so hard to chant my rounds, so hard to practice Krishna. I have to work, I have to pay rent, I have to this, I have to that, I have to take care of this and that and the other thing. And it's so hard. But chanting Hare Krishna, we can do everywhere. We can chant the holy name anywhere. We can sing the holy name anywhere, even in the shower, right? We can chant the holy name. We can chant in our car. We can sing the holy name. And this is Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and Nityananda in particular, his mercy, because he gave us that process, and he went door to door. He went everywhere, begging everyone, please chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and tell others about this simple process of spiritual life. If you can just do that, then your life will be sublime, and everyone else's life will also be sublime. It's simple, joyful, compassionate. It's not Lord Nityananda was not envious. He was always absorbed in delivering others. He didn't want anything for himself. And he showed that in his life. In his childhood, he was born in a place where the Ganges does not flow, called Radhadesh, right? Ekachak. So there was a little bit inauspicious. But when Lord Nityananda appeared there, immediately his charismatic personality attracted everybody there. And from his very, very early age, he would play with his friends and he would engage in leelas of Lord Chaitanya, of Sri Krishna, and all the different avatars. And his friends and him would act them out, really, like when at Krishna's birth, they all went at midnight, and he had somebody carrying Krishna who was in the jail. And, so all his friends, the little friends, they'd wake up in the middle of the night and go outside so that Vasudev could take Krishna on his head and walk in to find Nanda Baba and put Krishna in Vrindavan. And so Nityananda and all his friends, they were putting on these pastimes, and he was giving them very specific directions. He would train them up. But then his mother and father said, well, how do you know all these pastimes? You and your friends, you're too young to even read. You don't read the scripture. You can't read yet. And we haven't told you these things. How do you know all these things? Lord Nityananda says, I know these things. I'm familiar. Actually, I remember these things. I was there. So they were a little bewildered, but they were so enamored by by Nityananda Prabhu's beauty and the fact that he was engaging everybody. Everybody loved him so dearly. They loved him more than their own children. Sounds familiar. Krishna was also loved more than everybody else. But Lord Nityananda came for a specific reason. He came to assist Lord Chaitanya. And he came 20 years before Lord Chaitanya appeared. So he was just waiting for everything to happen. He was just waiting. Not 20 years, almost. And then what happened is that he knew that Lord Chaitanya was going to appear. He was 12 years old when he felt that Lord Chaitanya had appeared, but Lord Chaitanya wasn't grown up yet. So it was going to be 20 years before Lord Chaitanya was really ready to practice his merciful Krishna conscious program. And so he arranged for a sannyasi to come and take him out of Ekachakra, because there was no possible way that the residents of Ekachakra would ever let him go. They loved him so much, they would never let him leave. And so the sannyasi came to his father and he said, just like Dasarath, just like Vishwamitra asked Dasarath, I want Ram to come with me to the forest. And Dasarath had to give it because Vishwamitra was such a wonderful sage, such a powerful sage. And actually he had lost his life because he couldn't live without Ram. In the same way, Nityananda's father went to the sannyasi. They sat up all night talking about Krishna. And before the sannyasi left, he said, whatever you want, if there's anything I can do for you, you please tell me. What can I give you? I want to give you some donation, something. If you want money, or I can give you some fruits. What is it you need? He said, well, actually, I'll tell you what I need. I need help. I need someone to travel with me and wash my clothes and take care of things while I travel. I want your son. And for his father, this was like, son, you want to take Nityananda? You're going to take Nityananda from Ekachakra? And he didn't know what to do. He was bewildered. He was trying to think, is there any scriptural reference that I can follow? I don't know what to do. He went to his wife, Padmavati, and he asked her, what should we do? And she said, my Lord, whatever you say to do, we'll do that thing. And then he remembered Dasarath, and he thought, I can't not do it. I have to. The sadhu asked me. I gave him my word that I would give him what he wanted. And so he left with with Nityananda. And they traveled together for 12 years. And during that time, Nityananda was just waiting. And he was doing some things here and there. He went on pilgrimage here and there. And after some time, he returned. He knew that Lord Chaitanya he knew Lord Chaitanya had gone to Gaya. Because Lord Chaitanya, at the beginning of his pastimes, even when he grew up, he was just a scholar. He wasn't being very Krishna conscious overtly. He was known for his scholarly pursuits. He actually kind of harassed the brahmanas a little bit, throwing water on them and spitting on them and doing all kinds of things. So Lord Nityananda, he stayed away during that time. He spent some time in Vrindavan also. And there in Vrindavan, he also became very much loved by everyone. Everybody there appreciated him very much. And he was a little bit strange, though. He was an avadut. Avadut means somebody who doesn't even take baths, doesn't follow the basic tenets of pious life or spiritual life. So sometimes he'd walk around naked, and he would joke with people and in strange ways. He was always laughing, but still the people loved him. They were attracted to him. And then he knew in his heart that Lord Chaitanya was getting ready to start his Sankirtan, because Lord Chaitanya had gone to Gaya. And when Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya, he met Ishwar Puri, and he took Diksha. He took initiation. And once he took initiation from Ishwar Puri, his mood changed. And he just wanted Krishna. He didn't want anything else. Just give me Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then Nityananda knew, now it's my time. I have to go to my Lord. I have to help him, because now he's going to start his mission of giving Krishna to the world. And I need to come and assist him. So Lord Nityananda went to Nanda, what's the name? Nanda? Huh? Nandanacharya, thank you. He went to Nandacharya's house and he hid out there. And Lord Chaitanya was talking to his followers, and he said, oh, some great saintly person is coming. Some wonderful devotee of Krishna is here in Navadvip. You have to go and find him. And Haridas Thakur and Srinivas, they went door to door, everywhere, looking for, but they couldn't find him anywhere. And then finally, Lord Chaitanya said, it's because without my mercy, you won't be able to see Nitai. You won't be able to perceive Nitai. So he took them and he went and he found Nitai and they embraced each other. And they knew that they were brothers. I'm your brother. Actually, Nitai went in a dream to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, I'm your brother and I'm here. And so this began the preaching of Lord Chaitanya with the assistance of Nityananda, because Nityananda was the spreader, the distributor of Chaitanya's mercy. Chaitanya was giving his mercy freely, the chanting of the holy name, and leading everyone in the process of the holy name. But Nitai is the one who led the Sankirtan party, who spread Krishna consciousness. And it's actually interesting, but that at that same time in Atlanta, that Prabhupada gave us that Paramakarna song. He asked the Sankirtan devotees, because it was an assembly of Sankirtan devotees. There were many Sankirtan devotees there from all the East Coast and of the United States. And he said to them, he asked the Sankirtan devotees, the Sankirtan devotees asked him, they said, Srila Prabhupada, what will make you most happy? And of course, they were all thinking that Prabhupada was going to say, distribute my books. But what Prabhupada said was, just become Krishna conscious. Just become Krishna conscious. And how do we become Krishna conscious? We become Krishna conscious by being Krishna conscious and giving Krishna consciousness to others. And I was thinking when I was preparing for this, thinking about this class, I listened to one talk by Giriraj Maharaj, a very senior godbrother of mine. And he was talking about how merciful Srila Prabhupada was, that actually he was at least as merciful as Nityananda Prabhu, because he came to us who were taking intoxication and not following any of the four regulative principles. There was no such thing as regulative. Regulative didn't exist. But Srila Prabhupada came to that place, and Srila Prabhupada inspired us to chant Hare Krishna. And I was meditating on that how amazing it is that Prabhupada, in only 11 years, Prabhupada was only with us 11 years in the West. They came to the West, and then it was 11 years from that time that he left the planet. 11 years. Some children here may be 11 years old. So he wasn't here very long, but he started a worldwide movement. People all over the globe chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasadam, inspiring others, distributing his books that he worked so hard to translate and give to us. And you know what? He had no cell phone. He had no word processor. He had no computer. And still he wrote all those books. And his disciples helped him to put those books together with beautiful pictures. No AI. No AI. So Prabhupada, he stretched just like Lord Nityananda did. And he came to the most fallen. And of course, we all know the story, or maybe many of you, maybe not all of you, know the story of Jagai and Madhai, which really is a very poignant illustration of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, because he was just given the order by Lord Chaitanya, go around and tell everybody, chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and ask everybody else to take the name of Krishna. And so Nityananda could have gone anywhere. He could have gone to anybody. But when he heard that there were these two people that were harassing everybody, and they were always drunk, and they were born brahmanas, but now they had become very degraded and fallen. Actually, they were those gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, they were demons. They were very demoniac. They were doing terrible, terrible things. raping people and robbing people and murdering people and doing terrible things. And Lord Chaitanya thought, I should go to them. And Haridas Thakur thought, you're crazy. He said, he went and told Lord Chaitanya, I can't keep up with this guy. He's a madman. He's going around. Everyone told to stay away from those people. And he thought, those are the people I should go to. And they, there's a story of how they ran away, and Jagai and Madhai were chasing after them. Haridas Thakur was a little older. He was out of breath. He went to Lord Chaitanya. He said, I'm not going out with this guy on Sankirtan anymore. Sorry. I need a different partner. He's just too risky. But Lord Chaitanya knew. He knew that, don't worry, the holy name will protect you. Everything will be fine. And so the next day again, he went to that person, those people. And Madhai took a piece of pot and threw it at Nityananda and hit his head with it, a piece of clay pot. And Nityananda was holding his head and blood was coming from his head. And Madhai was just about to do it. But Lord Nityananda said to them, no. I don't care if you cut my head. It doesn't matter to me. What really matters is that you just please take up the holy name. Just please chant the holy name and your life will be sublime. Chant the holy name and you'll be happy. And then Madhai got angry and he was going to throw another piece of pot. And then Jagai stopped him and he said, no, can't you see? He's different than everybody else. Look at the mercy that this person has. He has no self-interest. He has no desire for his personal profit, adoration, and distinction. He only cares about our welfare. And Jagai offered obeisances. But by that time, Lord Chaitanya had already heard that Nityananda was wounded and he came running there and he was just about to kill Madhai with a Sudarshan chakra. And Nityananda said, no, Jagai saved me. Jagai saved me from this person. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood changed immediately and he went and embraced Jagai. And when Madhai saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was embracing Madhai, his heart changed and he thought, I want to be embraced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And immediately he fell to the ground. He immediately entered into that same mood. And actually, his whole countenance changed. And he became so internally disturbed. Even though Lord Nityananda had forgiven him and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgave him, still Madhai never forgave himself because he had hurt so many people. He even thought, I hurt so many people. I was so intoxicated. I don't even know who those people were. How can I apologize to them? I don't know how many millions of people I disturbed. I can't make up for it. And he was given instruction to serve all the devotees at the Ghat, where everybody came to bathe. And in that way, he would be very, very apologetic to them, very begging for their mercy, and everybody would apologize to him. So Nityananda, by his association, Nitai, by his humility, he breaks the knot of the false ego. He destroys our stubborn resistance to Krishna consciousness. He gives strength to chant the holy name, and he gives the intelligence how to serve the Lord in a humble mood. And that was what Prabhupada did also. Prabhupada came and he didn't know, his prayer, which very much reflects this mood, that he said at the Boston Harbor, when his boat first landed in Boston Harbor, he said, dear Lord, why did you bring me to this horrible place? He came off the boat and he saw for the first time, everybody. At the time, everybody in America was thinking that everybody in India was thinking that in America, the streets are paved with gold. Everybody there is happy. No one wants anything. Everybody's ecstatic. I want to go there someday when I grow up. That's my goal. I want to get a house in America. But when Prabhupada came to the Boston Harbor, that was not his opinion. And he looked at that place and he came right, just as a point of information, when he came off the boat, right next to the boat was a huge fish market. So you can imagine the fragrance there. It was a pretty smelly place. And everybody was covered in fish, fish remnants. And it was a terrible place. So Prabhupada looked outside and he said, my Lord, why have you brought me here? You sent me here, but I don't know how my words, what the message that I have to give them, I don't know how they're going to take it. But I'm just a puppet in your hands. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. And that's what Prabhupada did. He didn't know exactly how to preach. He didn't have a place to stay. He didn't have a temple. He didn't have followers, really, although he did see them in the future, but he didn't have them at the moment. And when he got followers, he saw us as representatives of his spiritual master. He said that we were sent by his spiritual master to help him. Just think how humble his idea was, that here we were, this ragtag army, and he saw us as representatives of his spiritual master. So Lord Chaitanya, he had Nityananda was his Sankirtan leader. And ultimately, when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, finally, at the end of his pastimes, went on pilgrimage and gave up his active outside pastimes. He went internal. Just before, he sent Nityananda back to Bengal to save the fallen souls there. And you go there to preach. And Lord Nityananda went very, very willingly. Lord Nityananda, just like Srila Prabhupada, or Srila Prabhupada, just like Lord Nityananda, he didn't care about one's qualification. He didn't care about one's background. He didn't care about one's past sins or his present condition, because he knew that the chanting of the holy name would take care of all those things. If we chant the holy name sincerely and seriously, then all those things that we're afraid will drag us down, he knew that that would be taken care of by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Nityananda would keep bringing souls to him. And he predicted, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted, that someday some Westerner will go and he will go across the ocean and he'll spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. One of the stories that you may or may not know is that Srila Prabhupada, before he left for America, he was going regularly to Shantipur, the place of Advaita Acharya. And every time he would go to Kolkata, he would stop there and he would sit in the back of the temple room and just chant. And there was an old pujari there. And every time he saw this sadhu coming, they would just sit in the back of the temple room and he would chant. Then one day he came and he saw that this man was crying. And as he was leaving, finally, the pujari stopped Prabhupada, stopped him and said, Swami, why are you crying? I see you come regularly here and you sit and you chant, but today I see you're crying. What, is there something wrong? He said, no, tomorrow I'm leaving on a cargo ship to go to the west. Actually, it's going to stop in Kochi on the way. And I'm praying to Advaita Acharya because Advaita Acharya is the one who brought Lord Chaitanya down. Advaita Acharya is the one who inspired Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come with Nityananda Mahaprabhu and give the mercy of the holy name. And now I'm going to a foreign country and I'm begging for the mercy of Advaita Acharya to please empower me. Years later, several years later, some Western dressed in sari-clad and dhoti-clad devotees came to that same temple in Shantipur. And that same pujari saw these people, Westerners, wearing Angresis, wearing Vaishnav dress. And when they left his temple, they gave him a Back to Godhead magazine. And he looked at the Back to Godhead magazine and he saw the picture of that sadhu that was crying there in the back of his temple. And he looked on the Back to Godhead magazine and he saw that there was a place in Mayapur. So he went to Mayapur and he spoke to some of the devotees and he said, you don't understand who your spiritual master is. You don't understand what he did. And in the same way as we can't understand how Lord Nityananda left the spiritual world to assist Lord Chaitanya in giving this most easy process of chanting Hare Krishna and occasionally taking prasadam, so that we can advance in spiritual life despite the fact that Kali Yuga is raging. And especially now, Kali Yuga, in my life, I'm 77 years old. And in my life, I joined the Hare Krishna movement. I took Diksha in 1969. And in those years, I have seen Kali Yuga progress tremendously, really tremendously. And it's shocking. People think we're making advancement. Now we have cell phones. Now we have, there it is. We have a cell phone and we have our computer and everybody's, looking in there and looking at there and beeping it and always wondering what it says. Maybe the purpose of human life will be revealed on my machine. I have more than one. Someone came to see me the other day. They had 2 cell phones. So we think we're making advancement with the perspective of Nityananda Prabhu and the perspective of Srila Prabhupada. We're going backwards. We're going backwards, further and further away from the understanding that it's only our relationship with Krishna that's going to free us from repeated birth and death. The cell phone isn't going to do it. The scientists aren't going to do it. AI can't even do it, believe it or not. If you ask AI, how do I get separated from repeated birth and death, it might even tell you to chant Hare Krishna. If you look out, you tell them, what do you think? He'll tell you. So we're very fortunate. Prabhupada came, Nityananda came, Lord Chaitanya came. They all came to help us because they know that this age of Kali is very, very difficult. When Prabhupada named my son was born in 1970, and he was named by Srila Prabhupada from a Rath Yatra cart in Prabhupada was on a Rath Yatra cart in San Francisco. And someone went to him and said, oh, Jagadish and Laxmimoni, they had a son. And he said, his name is Nirmal Chandra. He said, just as Lord Chaitanya appeared, and because he was the spotless moon, the spotted moon became embarrassed and hid his face. That's why there was an eclipse. So the spotless moon could appear, Nirmal Chandra. So Nirmal Chandra came, and Nityananda came with him. And with their mercy, they gave so much spiritual potency to so many wonderful acharyas in our line, not the least of which is Srila Prabhupada, also very merciful, extremely merciful. And now the responsibility is ours. Because my generation is on the way out. We're on the downside of the Changing Bodies exhibit. The other day, I went to buy a suitcase, and the lady said, you should get this one. It has a 10-year warranty. I said, I don't even have a 10-year warranty. But it's a fact. Which one of us knows how long we'll be on the planet? No one knows. So we have to be very responsible to distribute this mercy of love of Godhead freely, without considering one's qualification, without considering one's caste or birthplace or academic learning, whether they are IT professional. Once I gave a course in Toronto, and there were 60 people in the course, and the tables were set up, and the ones that belonged to the temple said IT on them because it said ISKCON Toronto, right? And all the IT professionals, they thought these tables are reserved for us. So they thought that we had set up a place for the IT professionals to sit. So we're very proud of our IT professionalism. But Lord Nityananda didn't see that as a qualification, nor did Srila Prabhupada, nor do any of our acharyas. We have only the desire. That's all. The desire to have it. If we have the desire to have it, and we take it and we chant it with a desire to understand the purpose of human life, then the name will reveal itself to us, and we will develop a loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I'm already over, so I should stop. But thank you very much for letting me come. I had a wonderful day just listening, just thinking about Nityananda all day. Yesterday, my day was ruined by dealing with my stupid computer. It was so crazy. And so today was a relief because I got to just absorb myself in Nityananda. Thank you very much. Please forgive me if I made any mistake, committed any offense. If anyone has questions, I don't know if I have time to answer. But
does anyone have a question?
Yeah, when's Prashadam?
I don't know, not Miss Ashish, I have a question, but I was trying to get.
There's someone in the back there has a hand up. You have to be careful that mic doesn't go near the speaker.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. It was a wonderful class. And I just want to know, Nityananda Prabhu went each door by door to ask Hare Krishna Mantra. But here when we say this, it's not so easy, not easily to hear.
It wasn't easy for him either. Why do you think it's so easy there? I went to Jagai and Mare, they threatened to kill him.
God, he's so Nityananda Prabhu, so powerful. But we are just souls when we just ask them, it's not so easy to get them, to understand them. Not even in the family, so difficult.
Yes, I hear that wherever I go. Actually, Lord Nityananda he was powerful, yes, but no one knew his power. No one knew that he could destroy the earth with just a glance, that he was an Antashesh holding up the universe, that he was, sitting in their heart as Paramatma. No one knew that about him. But he was fearless. He was fearless. And because he was fearless, because he had full faith in the holy name and full faith in the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his relationship with his brother, he knew that no one could defeat him. And therefore, if we're also fearless, then nobody can hurt us. They may take or they may not take. That's their choice. We can't make anybody do anything. We can offer them the opportunity. And one other thing that I really wanted to say, I've been thinking about it a lot, is that Prabhupada, when he first came, he didn't come to us as a scholar. He came with 3 volumes of the Chaitanya Charitam, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the beginning of the book is practically Chaitanya Charitamrita because he wanted to give us Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. And that's all he had with him, right? And he didn't sit down and give some lecture, go to the universities and travel and make speeches in schools. What he did was he sat down in Tompkins Square Park, which is not a very nice place. And he went to Yoga Mishra Yoga Center, and he just met the ordinary people on the street. And he gave them, they were attracted to his person. Who he was what attracted him. That he was fearless, that he was gentle, that he was compassionate, that he was willing to talk to anyone, that he was willing to take risks. When the person sat next to him in the Central Park and said, Swamiji, you must be very lonely. You're sitting here in these strange clothes all by yourself. You have no money. How long have you been here? It must be very difficult for you. He said, no, I have temples all over. I have schools, I have restaurants, I have farms. It's just separated by, I have many followers. It's just separated by time. So Prabhupada knew that because Krishna was going to make him dance, that he would make us dance too. And when he walked into our lives with this conviction and this peace of mind, because if you went to New York and you didn't have your cell phone and you didn't have any money, how peaceful would you be? You'd be, where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go? Where do I get a bus? How do I go somewhere? Where do I eat? Where do I sleep? But Prabhupada didn't worry about any of that. He knew it would all be taken care of, and it was taken care of. And he had his countenance made people know, made people feel that here's a person I want to be like when I grow up. Here's a person who's peaceful from the inside out. And so when we came in contact with that energy, because the other energies we were in contact with, everyone said, take this drug and you'll be happy. Okay, we took the drug and we were happy for 2 hours because we were so ripped that we didn't know where we were or what we were doing. But after 2 hours, we were miserable again. And we were wondering about the same problems. Where will I eat? Where will I sleep? How will I pay the rent? But Prabhupada didn't seem to worry about any of those things. And when we saw him in that mood, that compassionate, fearless mood, we became moved by him and wanted to know what makes you tick. So when you go door to door or when you approach somebody, let them meet you as a sadhu. Let them meet the qualities of a sadhu, even your family. Until they know you, see you make a change. When they see a change, that you become peaceful, that you become fixed, that you become internally happy, and whatever they want from you, you'll give them, but you'll always give them the holy name, and you'll always be peaceful. Then they'll wonder, what is he doing? There's something that he's doing that has changed him internally and made him a better person. And then they'll want to know what it is. Then they'll ask you. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, it was a wonderful class actually. Today we have seen descending Prabhupada and Nityananda together by your words. So it was wonderful. My question, Mataji, is, you have mentioned your age also, but at this age you have so much enthusiasm, more than us, more than sitting here. So what is the secret of your enthusiasm?
My enthusiasm is from the association of devotees, and specifically from certain great souls who I listen to and I get the association of, and I get inspired, and I see the material world and it's scary. So on one hand, I got the jaws of death fighting at me on one side, and Krishna and Prabhupada standing on the other side with open arms. So I'm hoping to make it there in this lifetime. I doubt that I will, but I'm going to give it a try.
Hare Krishna. But this listening to this last statement that you made, that who he was, who Srila Prabhupada was what attracted people to him. So I just remember that one of the people that comes in one of those videos, like, and when I see your love, I know I've got a long, long way to go. So when I will taste the love that you're feeling inside. So my question is that Srila Prabhupada had such a direct connection with Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Advaita Acharya, that this love was so much apparent and people could feel it. But when it comes to someone like me, just struggling, and all this just remains as theory, as this bites of information inside. And the question is, of course, like how to make that.
First of all, don't. It's not true what you just said, because you've been here already for years. You've been practicing Krishna consciousness. You've had difficulties in your life and in so many ways. And still you're here. And still you're chanting. And still you're giving Krishna. And still you're encouraging other people. So there is some taste. Don't lie to yourself. There is some taste. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And that taste, if you feel inspired to give that, whatever little taste you have, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody. And show them a different way of life, a different way of thinking. Not like in this material world right now. I just went to Tamil Nadu. I was in Kamtur. And I was at somebody's house. I was staying at someone's house where they all speak Tamil. And I started speaking a little bit of Hindi because I speak some Hindi. And they said, we don't like Hindi here. Really? And we don't have enough divisions. We have to create now a division between drive 2 hours or 4 hours in one direction. And I don't like you because it doesn't make any sense. So we have to show a different mentality. Lord Nityananda didn't have any discrimination. Prabhupada didn't have any discrimination. None. When he walked into a place and he saw a picture, the devotee said, "Who is that?" And they said, "Is that a cat?" And he was talking about Hanuman. Prabhupada didn't go, "Oh God, these guys are hopeless." Where am I going to start with them? They don't even know who Hanuman is. Nobody thought, just chant Hare Krishna and it'll be okay. And eat these chapatis, and here's some sabji, and here's a Simply Wonderful, and don't forget a gulab jamun while you're at it. And he changed us from hippies to happies. And if we become eager to do that for somebody and understand that their lack of understanding is really not, you can't let that become a barrier to you offering them Krishna consciousness. However you offer it, whether you're giving a class on campus, whether you're distributing books, whether you're distributing prasadam, whether you're just being your devotee at the grocery store. Because the way you are as a person is what makes people turn around. I've know so many people who at their office, they come and give some prasadam and they're just nice people. They don't, they go to work, they come home, but they're always happy. They're always singing something. They have some pictures of weird people in their box or whatever. And they think, what is this guy into? Well, I'll tell you, since you asked. And while you're at it, have a sweet ball, have a chapati, that's how we'll spread Krishna consciousness. And if people come to Krishna consciousness and they like the philosophy, but they don't see devotees with devotional quality, they won't stay. They'll leave. Or they'll look. They'll take this book and they'll see it's like a GPS, and they'll start looking for the guru that's supposed to be following all these things, where I want to see a person who has these qualities. And none of us have them all the time. We all have moments when we're fried, when we're angry, when we're anxiety, yesterday you could have cooked on my head because I was so frustrated with the computer. But we're here and we're trying. And that's amazing. It's actually amazing. Don't shortchange yourself. Okay. If we keep them from prasadam for too long, they're going to start getting mad at me.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Mataji. I have a question regarding preaching. Like, I understand that myself as an introvert, so I don't talk much, and I'm very bad in languages as well, in the sense that I don't write anything. I mean, I can write, but it's not that good just to make those things work. I can write, and even for approaching people, I'm a little bit nervous. Not a little bit, but
nervous, and I have tried as well. And when they ask some questions also, though I'm reading every day in Prabhupada books and all, and I'm trying to study, but every time when they ask some questions, I'm not able to answer in a convincing way as well. So I know that my practice is not also up to the mark. At the same time, uh, even if when I give my Krishna Master's lecture or Srila Prabhupada's lecture, it's given so much stress is given to preaching, and it's like somehow I'm not getting that uh, push to go outside, and it becomes a little bit fear from others. So how can I start to
First of all, you preach by who you are. That's first of all. But people meet you, they like you, you're nice, you're friendly, and they see you. Jayananda Prabhu, people met him taking out the garbage. They thought, if the garbage guy is this nice, then I want to see what they're doing in there. They thought, if the guy who's going out and getting the vegetables and arguing with the sabji wala is that nice, I want to know more about this thing. So we preach in so many ways, not only by giving out books at the airport. Although that's nice, Prabhupada encouraged it, but he also encouraged us to be Krishna conscious. He told the Sankirtan devotees when they said, what will please you the most? He said, just become Krishna conscious. So you don't have to look at the things you do. Lord Nityananda was a servant. He was Nityananda's, he was Lord Chaitanya's bed, Lord Chaitanya's shoes, Lord Chaitanya's umbrella, Lord Chaitanya's seat. He served endlessly. He served. And all the great acharyas in our line, they're humble servants. What Narottam had to go through to get Lokanath Maharaj to give him initiation, cleaning his stool out in the field. So just be a humble servant, because people never see a humble servant. If they see a humble servant, they'll think, what is he into? How did he ever get to be such a nice, humble servant? So you can preach, but don't worry about it. You can serve. And serving is also preaching. And you can help those who preach. When we did the Christmas marathon in New York, I was dressed as Santa Claus for a little while, Mrs. Claus. And we used to have buckets. We would get a lot of change. And it was so heavy, the money, that multiple times during the day, we had to get rid of it. It had to be. So Jayadvaita Maharaj, he wasn't out on Sankirtan. He was driving around with a van, picking up the buckets of coin and putting them in the van so that we could do Sankirtan. And I don't know what we were doing. I'm not even sure it was Sankirtan, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's what we did. And people got books and they changed their life. I don't know how many changed their life, but I'm sure some did. Because New York Temple is huge and Manhattan Temple is huge and people come on Rath Yatra by the thousands. So we changed hearts, even though we were dressed as Santa Claus. So not to say that you should do that. I'm not saying that you should do that. But what I'm saying is that even Jayadvaita Maharaj driving around, he was helping Lord Chaitanya's movement. Everybody has to. Prabhupada used to have the expression that he told us that we actually had it for the ILS once as a theme, keep the wheels moving. That in the train, everybody has to work cooperatively to keep the trains going on time. That it's not just the conductor, it's also the guy who's working the engine, who's cleaning the train, who's selling the tickets, who's organizing the schedules, who's flipping the switches that are making the tracks go whichever way. If any one of them doesn't do their job, then there's going to be disaster. But you never see them. They're in the back, they're doing their thing, but Krishna sees them. Right? The place that runs the trains, they know that they're essential. And if they don't do their job, then there's chaos. And Krishna knows that. So therefore he came as Arjuna's chariot driver. Not a very big job, apparently. But he was the Supreme Personality of God, and he acted as a servant. Don't give up. And don't put yourself down either. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nityananda Ram ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Sunrise Laxmimoni Mataji ki. Prabhupada ki. So, it's not easy to